Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to our supplemental video. So this time we are now in the week 10 or lesson 10 of Introduction to Project Management. And today's topic we will be discussing about the project time management. But before I proceed to our formal discussion, let me just remind, especially for those students who are not yet done taking their prelim examination, to please have time or sacrifice your time for you to take your prelim examination. So still, you have to complete first your week 1 to 5 requirements before I will allow you to take your prelim examination. And of course, for those students who want to take their prelim examination through online, all you have to do is take a clear photo of your receipt or and your permit and send it to my personal messenger para maayos ko or ma-prepare ko yung online examinations ninyo. And for those students who are not yet done in their requirements, especially in prelim, so please complete your requirements kasi medyo mangilan-ngilan pa lang yung mga student na nakapag-submit ng kanilang complete requirements. So that is for week 1 to 5 for prelim and 7 to 9, 9 for the midterm, wala pang nagsasubmit. Okay, so yan. And of course, always have with you the hard copy of your printed module every time you watch or listen to our supplemental video. So for our supplemental video, please do watch or sacrifice your time, or if you are not that busy, please panoorin nyo yung mga supplemental videos na ina-upload namin. So, itong ginagawa namin mga supplemental videos will really help you a lot, guys, to understand better the module or the lesson that we are discussing. And of course, for those students who are not yet member to our group chat, especially for the new enrollees, please approach me para ma-add ko kayo dun sa GC namin. So as you can see dun sa group chat natin, I already uploaded there the link of the recorded video or the supplemental video. So those link are your access dun sa YouTube channel namin, wherein yung YouTube channel namin is uploaded na po lahat yung mga supplemental video or recorded lesson discussion there. So all you have to do is download or watch or listen to our supplemental video. And we have also created a Google Classroom for those students who are not able to come here in school to submit the requirements or get their module. So we already, for those students pala na who are not yet in or member dun sa Google Classroom natin, please notify me or approach me para may bigay ko sa inyo yung link or yung Google Classroom code. Okay? So in your Google Classroom I already uploaded all the soft copy of your lesson discussion and the soft copy of the prelim for I mean your requirements, soft copy of your requirements for prelim and some soft copy of your midterm. So please check it out with our Google Classroom para sa ganun ay ma-update kayo or ma-update kayo dun sa Google Classroom. And one more thing is if you are not able to come here in school to submit your requirements, please all you have to do is upload it on the Google Classroom. So all you have to do is take a clear photo and readable copy or picture of your activity or your requirements, and then you will going to send it through my messenger or through my email, or it can be in the Google Classroom. But make sure na clear dapat yung mga yun and readable. Okay, so yan. And of course, always keep those answer sheets, or I mean the yellow pad paper, because soon we will going to collect those hard copy of your answer. Okay, so yung pag-upload nyo lang is just to to prove, it is a proof na na-meet nyo yung deadline date. And again, I'm still giving extra points or a bonus points for those students who will submit the requirements before the deadline date. Okay? So yan. So those are my friendly reminders for you. So again, welcome to Introduction to Project Management, and we will be discussing about the project time management in week 10. And today's learning objectives, you will be able to, or at the end of the lesson, you will be able to define what is a project time management and discuss types of project schedules and apply how to manage time in a business. So those are our learning objectives for today's topic. Okay, so yan. Okay, so moving on. So we have here the project time management. So the scope or the project scope identifies the objectives of the project. So what activity will be performed and some of the activities that are not included in the project or hindi siya included dun sa project na dinedevelop natin. So the scope document is ginagamit ito para makapag-create ng master schedule, which is ina-identifies yung important dates and activities doon sa chapter or doon sa project. So yung today's topic, you will be able to learn how the scope and schedule are developed. Okay? So yan. So yung project planning and scheduling natin, they are both art and a science. Kasi nga, no two projects managers or yung mga planning professionals is develop in identical plans or yung mga project schedules. So, yung planning process is siyang creative and reflects the planner's approach and style. Even though yung project plan is very unique siya to the approach and style of the planner, so yung methods for developing yung schedule and documenting the resulting plan follow a certain rule. So always mga rules, always may mga rules pa rin yan if you plan or yung if you develop or the developing the schedule yan. On a larger and more complex projects, a planning function composed of a small team of planning and scheduling expert which is kailangan to develop and track yung project schedule. So yung mga project planners natin is they will going to facilitate the development of the information required to develop the project plan using yung templates. You have the past or yung similar projects, and most importantly yung the thoughts and the plans of the project team leaders and members. So on a small project, yung project manager is siya yung responsible para sa pag-accomplish ng planning function. So after sana na mag-gather niya lahat yung mga information, syempre yung planner, she or he will going to begins developing the project's master schedule, a summary levels schedule that encompasses the entire project scope, which is include yung major events and yung at mag-provides ng view of the entire project. So working with the team with the project team. So the planning continues to include more details as additional information becomes available. So the schedule continues to evolve during the life of the project, and yung major revisions may be necessary in response to events both inside and outside the project that change critical dates on the schedule. So hindi kasi natin naiiwasan yung may mga revision or yung mga major revision. So it is very necessary na magkaroon ng mga revision or inside or outside man sa project na dine-develop ninyo. So pag nagkakaroon ng ganong mga revision, syempre naaapektuhan yung schedule date kung kailan matatapos yung project. Okay? Next is determining the schedule of activities that comprise the project is a key element doon sa project management. So we have here the types of schedules. So you have the conceptual and the master and the details. Okay, so these are the types of schedule. So when we say conceptual, pagka yung scope ng project is being determined sana, yung simple schedule which is pinakapakita niya yung major task and yung approximate start and end dates is developed to allow yung mga senior management to make a decision about doon sa scope ng project. So, detail is not required. So, hindi siya, yung detailed information is not required at this stage. Kasi nga, yung entire task sana might be dropped from the scope or dun sa whole project might not be approved. Okay, so that is the conceptual. Okay, so mag-conceptualize ka, di ba? Next is you have the master. So, pagka yung project is napili sana, yung master schedule is created. So, it has major events and dates such as yung starting date at saka yung completion date. So, kung kailan ba nag-start yung project na yon hanggang sa kailan siya na-develop or kailan siya na-complete. So, yung master schedule is often part of the contract. So, karamihan sa mga part ng contract is you have the master schedule or the master. Okay? Yan. So, changes to master schedule must be approved using a documented change process with approval by the project sponsor and client. So, in case na may mga changes dun sa project, it should be approved using yung mga documented change process or may mga parang proseso ito or may mga documents na kailangan i-process bago magkaroon or ma-approvean yung changes. So, yan. Next is you have the detail. So, para ma-execute natin yung master schedule, so yung major activities are broken down into smaller activities. And yung mga resources are assigned to those activities sana. So, yung pinaka-most na detailed version or portion ng schedule is pwede yung develop a few weeks prior dun sa execution of those activities and are called 2-week plans. Okay? So, yun yung tawag pagka few weeks lang or prior to few weeks execution of those activities and are called yung 2-week plans. So, portions of the master schedule that after yung particular vendors might be sent to them to they provide the detailed activities that they would perform. Okay? So, those are the 3 types of schedules. Next is we have the elements of time management. Okay, so according dun sa Project Management Institute natin or yung PMI natin is yung project time management is include yung mga project management institute incorporation. So it is a guide to the project management body of knowledge or yung PMBOK guide natin. So ito is 4th edition siya which is galing sa Newtown Square PA Project Management Institute Incorporation noong 2008. Okay, so we have here the elements of time management. First is you have the estimation of duration. So after the project team has created yung WBS natin or the WBS natin. So each activity is reviewed and evaluated para ma-determine nila yung duration. So how long it will take to accomplish from the beginning to end, di ba? So ilang years, ilang months mo ba ito natapos and what resources? So you have the time. So, kailan siya ginawa, anong oras siya ginawa, yung mga materials na ginamit sa pagbuo ng project na yun, mga facilities and equipment that are needed na nakailangan doon sa project. So, an estimate is an educated guess-based knowledge. So, experience and inference the process of deriving conclusion based doon sa assumption. So, the accuracy of the estimate is related doon sa quality ng knowledge and kung paano yung knowledge is na-apply. So, the person with the most knowledge may not be the most objective person to provide duration estimates. So, yung person who is responsible for the work may also want to build in extra time. So, multiple inputs to the duration estimate and a more detailed WBS help reduce bias the making of decision based on prejudged perspective. Okay? So, yan. So, yung unit of time na ginagamit para to develop the activity duration is a function of the level of detail which is needed by the user of the schedule. So the larger and more complex the project, the greater the need for detail. So which usually translate into shorter duration for activities. Okay, so yan. So next is you have the resource allocation. Yeah, tama. So you have the resource allocation. So when we say resource allocation, ito yung pinaka-common resource constraint is yung availability. So to consider yung availability of the team members, you have the consultant and yung key pieces of equipment. So you have to create a resource calendar para sa lahat that indicates which day are available and which are days off for a group. So yan, so parang sa school natin, meron tayong school calendar. Diba? So it is very important din yan, especially sa pagplaplano yung the whole year activities, diba? So meron tayong mga school calendar. Okay, so as an so or project assets. So yung calendar for team members from now, the same sa company could be the company calendar that shows yung working days, so yung mga weekends, yung mga holidays, yan. So yung content ng calendars o calendars is you have yung mga working days, yung mga weekend days, at saka yung mga holidays or yung mga institutional holidays, mga yan. So, individual team members can have individual calendars. So, that shows their vacation days or other day off, such as yung mga parental leave days, yung mga yan. So, pagka yung major pieces of equipment are only available for a certain period of time, they can be given a resource calendar. So, yung resource calendar na yan is magiging importanteng tools na siya pagka may mga kailangan or kung kailangan palitan yung mga schedule. So when a resource calendar is applied doon sa duration estimate, so the duration in days is distributed across the available calendar days. So for example, sana if the duration is 3 days and the start date of the activity is Thursday, so the activity would begin on Thursday and end on Monday of the following week. Assuming na yung resource calendar natin is pinapakita niya na yung tao has the weekend off. So, if the weekend included an extra day off for a holiday like Labor Day, shown in the calendar dyan sa yung calendar ng company, so the completion day of the same day, 3 activity would be pushed to Tuesday. So, yan. So, hindi mo naman pwede kasing pilitin yung mga employee mo na pumasok every weekends kasi talagang that is intended for weekends off, di ba? So, yan. So, next is we have the graphic representations. So, relations between yung activities are easier to ma-recognize if they are presented using a graphic such as yung bar charts or yung mga network of connected boxes. So, it is very important din yung if you present something is you will going to use a charts or yung mga graphic representations para sa ganun ay mas maintindihan. So, for example, you will going to present the number of enrollees of 2020 and 2021 of SIAC College, number of drop student, number of nag-transfer na student. So, mas mabilis maintindihan kung you will going to use a graphic representations. So, for the graphic representation, here are the examples. So, we have the bar charts, you have the Gantt chart, and you have the network diagrams. So, for the bar charts, so isa siyang type ng bar charts which is ginagamit ito para ma-illustrate yung activity relations doon sa project, doon sa in a project is the Gantt chart. So, the Gantt chart was developed by Henry Gantt and ginamit ito sa mga major projects including yung mga building Hoover Dam and the US interstate highway system. So, yan. And then yung Gantt chart is also called a bar chart. So isa siyang time scaled graphic which is nirepresent niya each activity with a bar that reflects the duration, so the time and the finish time. Okay? So yan. So that is for the Gantt chart. Next is we have the network diagrams. So dito naman sa may network diagrams natin is yung mga tao is they recognize relationships and patterns more effectively when they look at diagrams like on the figure or like on the examples natin dyan. So yan. Okay? So that is an example of a project network diagram. So yung the President's Diagram Method or the PDM or yung project diagram network natin is a technique for graphically displaying the logic of a schedule by placing the activities in boxes and with arrow between them para ipakita yung president-successor relationships. So yung mga boxes doon sa yung mga boxes in this type of diagram, ang tawag sa kanila is nodes. And yung mga arrows naman, which is ini-indicate naman niya yung finish, start relationships. So itong type ng diagram na ito is, ang tawag dyan is you have project network diagram. Okay, so yan. So that is the figure for the project network diagram. Next is we have also the critical path and float. So itong critical path, isa siyang path through the network that result in the latest completion date of the project. So if any activity doon sa may critical path is delayed sana, so the completion of the project will be delayed by an equal amount. So it is the path with the greatest total duration. So para to determine the project path, add the amount of time estimate for the duration of each activity to the previous activity para ma-determine mo which path through the network has the longest total duration. Okay, so yung critical path, so yung duration are indicated in days. So the critical path through this task takes at least 8 days. So activities on the critical path are shaded. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And okay, so next is we have under the critical path and float, we have the early start dates. So natakpan kasi dito sa may PowerPoint natin. So itong early start dates is starting dates can be assigned to each activity by doing a forward pass proceeding from left to right doon sa may network diagram beginning with the project start date. So it's importante din na alam mo kung kailan nag-start yung project mo para alam mo kung ilang days, ilang months mo nagawa yung project or na-develop yung project na yun. So yung dates derived by this method are early start or yung ES natin dates. So the early start date for an activity is the earliest date the activity can begin. The estimate consider duration and resource availability calendars. So to calculate early start dates, begin with the project start and assign that date as the start date of activities that have no predecessors activities. So ang kailangan mo lang gawin is i-follow mo lang yung step na to. So here are the steps para makakalculate natin yung early start dates of subsequent activities. So assuming start the relationship, so we will going to add the predecessor activity duration to its start date and add the lag time or subtract the lead time. And then of course refer to the resource calendar or yung calendars that applies to the people and equipment necessary for the activity. And add the number of off days that the activity would span on those calendars. So importante na meron tayong mga company calendar or mga company mga calendar kasi that would be our basis para ma-estimate natin kung ilang days ba natapos yan. So assign the calculated dates as the early start date of the successor activity. Okay, so that is for the early start dates. Next is we have the late start dates. Okay, so late start dates. So, yung next step natin is to work through the network diagram. So, from right to left, beginning with the mandated completion date. So, which is a milestone that is set in the project plan. So, subtract the duration of each activity in each path para ma-determine natin yung latest date. So, the activity could begin and still meet the project completion date. So, yung resource calendars is kailangan must be considered in the backward pass as well as yung forward pass. So, to calculate late start dates, so begin the project completion milestone and assign that dates as the finish date of its predecessor's activities. So, follow these steps para makakalculate natin yung late start dates of predecessor activities. So, assuming a finish start relationship. So, subtract the predecessor activities duration from its late finish date. Then, subtract the lag time or add the lead time to the late finish date. Then, you will going to refer to the resource calendar or in calendars that applies to the people and equipment necessary for the activity and subtract the number of days that activity would span on those calendars. So, yung difference between the early start date and tsaka yung late start date for activities on the critical path is usually yung the same as the total flow. So, unless yung activities are affected by the resource calendars, so differently doon in the forward and backward path. So, for example, yung piece of key equipment is only available for a few days sana. So activities that depend on it have the same start and finish date in the forward and backward passes. Okay, so that is late start dates. Next is we have the managing the schedule. So in the managing of the schedule, we have tracking and reporting progress, and you have resource leveling and accelerating the schedule. Tama ba ako? Accelerating the schedule. Okay, so for tracking and reporting progress, dito sa may ito yung tracking the schedule performance, which is involved measuring the work performance against dun sa work expected to be performed with a given expenditure of resource. So yung periodic reporting on the progress of the project provides the project management team with information on how the project is performing against dun sa may expectation. And of course, para makagawa ng decisions and correction. So yung accurate measurement ng schedule performance is nagre-require siya ng planning during the early stage of the project para ma-determine natin yung unit of measures and yung process for tracking progress. So under the tracking and reporting progress, you have the reporting percentage completed and the managing schedules using milestone. So dito sa my reporting percentage completed, so for example, a project that has completed 25% of the schedule activities does not mean that yung project is 25% complete. So in our Jan's Move example, so 4 rooms were to be packed. So after the bedroom was packed sana, packing was not 25% complete. So the kitchen contained 5 times as many items and required more in delicate. So time-consuming packaging. So John estimated that 40% of items to be packed were in the kitchen. So 20% in the living room, 20% in the bedroom, and remaining 20% in miscellaneous locations. So if the unit of measure for these activities is items packed, so the packing is only 20% complete instead of 25% if rooms are the unit of measures. Okay, so yan. So that is on the reporting percentage completed. Next is we have managing schedules using a milestone. Okay, so here, so yung milestone natin kasi is nagpro-provide siya ng opportunity para dun sa project management natin or para doon sa project management natin para makapag-focus siya on completing the activities that will have the greatest impact doon sa may schedule. So yung complex projects, focusing doon sa milestone is very useful para sa or for communicating important dates to the entire project team. So yung mga project team members is kailangan mag-adjust sila dun sa effort nila para ma-complete yung activities which is connected dun sa milestone events. Okay? So that is managing schedules using milestone. Next is we have informing stakeholders. So yun. So always na i-schedule mo yung update is kailangan distributed or laging updated yung mga regularly to provide a project stakeholders with assessment of the progress of the project against dun sa master schedule. So kailangan laging nag-update ka sa mga or na ini-inform mo yung progress ng project mo, dun sa mga stakeholders natin. So, this updated schedule is, ang tawag dito is yung current schedule. Okay? So, yung current schedule kasi is nagpo-provide siya ng bagong start at bagong end dates for all the activities and the project. Okay? So, yan. Next is we have the resource leveling. So, yan. So, itong schedule ng activities na ito is constrained by the availability of the resource. So, if you apply yung resource calendar to each activity to be sure that the people and equipment are available on those dates. So, you can still miss an important constraint. So, if there are several activities that use a particular person's time on the same days, that person could end up with too many activities scheduled for the same days and very little on other days. Next is we have the accelerating the schedule. So dito, yung mga project manager is kailangan alam nila how to accelerate yung schedule to compensate for anticipated events so that delays critical activities or to accommodate yung mga changes in the project completion date. So, yun. So, hindi kasi natin ma-estimate yung may mga emergency na kailangan hurricane one. Kunwari, mga ngayon na hindi namin ma-estimate na kahit may mga school calendar kami, napagplanuhan na namin yung gusto namin sanang mangyari ngayong week na to, tapos biglang nag-lockdown. So those are the incident na hindi natin ine-expect na pwedeng mangyari. Okay? Those are the emergency na hindi natin alam na mangyayari. Okay? So, yan. Next is so those are under managing the schedule. Next is we have the project scheduling software. So here in the project scheduling software, so low complexity project can be managed with list of activities on paper or pwede rin yung paggamit ng outline in Word, so processing, or pwede rin yung spreadsheet software. So itong software na to is adequate for tracking yung complex project. So fortunately, karamihan there are several dedicated software programs that keep track of the complex relationship between yung activities tsaka yung mga resources. So we have here the appropriate to project complexity. So simply, so yung mga simple project can be tracked gamit yung general purpose word processing and yung mga spreadsheet software natin like those na yung mga available sa Microsoft Office natin or yung mga open office natin. Okay, so yan. So yung mga medium complexity project benefits from the dedicated project management software such as yung mga Microsoft project and yung mga open project natin. So next is we have the features. So there are dozens of computer or software programs which is available sa wide range of pieces. So some open source software programs are free. So yan, mga features. So ang daming mga pwedeng software na pwedeng gamitin, especially sa internet na mga free, di ba? Yung hindi mo na kailangan magbayad or bilhin. Okay? So yan. But other costs up to $1,000, there are several considerations for selecting a project management software beside price. Okay, so next is we have currently used software and we have the basic features. So dito sa basic features is you have so any project management software that is selected must have the ability to track and display basic features such as yung mga duration, yung mga relationships, yung mga milestone, start and yung end dates, resource calendars, and yung mga graphic displays natin which is the use of the Gantt and the network charts. Okay, so next is you have the collaboration. So ito, importante ito. How will you going to make that project successful if you do not have this collaboration or yan. So kailangan sa mga team members should be able to view the project schedule. So karamihan sa mga software products nire-require niya yung paggamit ng different teams member use the same schedule at restrict the use of the software to team members who have access to the company's computer system. Okay? And lastly, you have the advanced features. So, yan. So, in the advanced features, so madaming complex projects look for advanced features such as yung mga issue tracking that tracks problems, action, and then yung resolution, yung mga project portfolio management, yung mga automatic resource, and then you have the document management, so feature that tracks contracts, yung mga bids, mga bidding, scope, mga changes, and yung mga incidents. Okay? So those are the things that is under in the project scheduling software. Okay, so I think that's for our topic for week 9, week 10, week 10 in introduction to project management. Okay, so thank you for listening, and if you have a questions, please do not hesitate to ask me through our group chat or through personal messenger. Okay, so yan. So thank you, and for your activity in week 10, so for activity 1, fill in the blanks. So read the question carefully and write the correct word or words to complete the statement. Write your answer on the yellow sheet of paper. And for activity number 2, that is essay, so answer each of the following questions in 5 to 10 sentences. And then kung napansin nyo dyan sa printed module ninyo, hanggang activity 3 yan. So wag nyo nang sagutan yung activity number 3. So only 1 and 2 lang. Okay? So that is your requirements for week 10, and I will be expecting you to submit your requirements anytime this week. So thank you so much for listening, and God bless us all. Keep your immune system strong. Always wear your face mask or face shield when you go out. And then maghugas kayo ng kamay, kumain kayo ng mga sustansyang pagkain, mag-sanitize kayo. And then of course, maintain social distancing, especially sa mga crowded places. So thank you so much, and God bless us all.